Welcome everybody to the Bitcoin Minute. I'm your host Joseph Wagner, and in this week's episode, we are going to discuss the halving cycles and the patterns in Bitcoin's price action that surround those 4-year cycles, and whether or not this one is going to be different than its predecessors due to the inflows and the added adoption from the ETF wave. It's currently around 2:30 p.m. in Honolulu, 8:30 p.m. in New York, and over the last 2 days, Bitcoin has been consolidating. If we look at the current candle, it is a pure doji. Yesterday was a doji, and today, so far, although the candle is far from over. March 14th, Bitcoin made its new all-time high, just around 73,000, and since then has only sold off a small percent. At the lows, 15% from the new record high. Currently, it's down 4%. That's not too big of a drop considering it made a new all-time high. Usually markets fall substantially after hitting a new price point never before reached. Bitcoin, however, is holding up well and aiming to make a new higher record, while at the same time, the halving is coming up very, very soon, less than a month away. That's obviously going to be a big influencer of price, but is this halving going to be different than the previous ones? That's the topic we are going to explore on today's episode. After this recent all-time high, we only retraced around 15-16%. Now let's take a look at all the previous record highs and see what corrections followed afterwards. Now, after we made the second all-time high in 2020, within a matter of 6 weeks, we corrected around 40%. If we go back in time to our 2016 halving and the subsequent all-time high that ensued, you can also see we corrected around 40%. The 2013 all-time high, within a matter of a few short weeks, we corrected 52%. If this pattern continues, we should expect about a 35% correction. There are some other technical studies that allude to a 35% correction. Okay, so first thing I want to look at is the MACD, because I noticed an interesting pattern on the Bitcoin daily MACD. We're going to change from candlesticks to lines just to make it easier to see, because we have the MACD on the same pane as our pricing. We have just recently hit a very, very low reading on the MACD, around negative 1,300. So we're going to just take off these signal lines to make it a little clearer for us. The record high had just been made days before. It hit this low right after hitting the second peak on May 2021. And if you guys aren't aware, May 2021 was a terrible month for Bitcoin. It's when it continued to fall out of bed, but fell steeper than ever before, eventually ending the month at the 61.8% retracement from the COVID crash to the all-time highs. It highlights the fact that Bitcoin has left its period of straight up parabolic bullishness with no corrections and has entered into that choppy phase where I still think we will make a higher high, but it's going to come with a lot of volatility. Many analysts out there think that a pullback isn't necessary because of all the buzz and new users due to the ETF hype. They think this halving cycle is going to be different. That's why we cracked 70,000 before the halving narrative really came into play, because the demand went up, the supply is the same. So what's going to happen when the supply of new coins issued is cut in half? History tells us we will see a dramatic increase in price. But are we going to see such a dramatic increase in price as we did in the other cycles? I believe we will. This little blip isn't going to change our 4-year cycle prospectus as much as people think it will. Sure, it made a lot of people jump in early. I believe that it will play out very similar to every other cycle that has happened before. Okay, so we're going to turn to log scale and we're going to look at every new record high and the price that it made within a 2-month period after reaching that. Here we have the 2013 high, and within 1 month, we corrected 69.4%. In our next example, 2 months later, we hit a 69% decline as well. First time we cracked 60,000. A few months later, a 55% decline. And our previous record high, we got a 50% decline. So in all of these instances, we had a pullback greater than 50%. A 50% correction from the new record high would take it to around $37,000. If you notice, the last two pullbacks after hitting new highs were slightly less than the predecessor. So this area right here where it had consolidated at the end of our wave 3, which is a approximately 33.5% correction, and that price point is right under $50,000 at $49,000. This is the price that I see most likely the low that Bitcoin will fall to before or right after this next halving event. Yes, we will make a historic new plateau in 2024. I believe within the first 6 to 8 months. The 4-year cycles are like the Fibonacci sequence. They are universal and cannot be muted, just like Bitcoin. Sometime in the next month or two, we will fall to $50,000 at least, and that's my call. It's your call whether you want to believe me or not, but we'll call this show and I'll talk to you later.